Charles wasn't quite 2 years old, but his dad was very famous. Perhaps that's what led to his kidnapping. Taken from his nursery in March 1932, Charles Lindbergh, Jr. The media referred to the abduction as the crime of the century. Lindbergh's son would not survive, and Bruno Hauptmann would be arrested, convicted, and put to death in the case. Suddenly, families with young children feared for the safety of their youngest members. While fear may have been overblown, it was something that Eugene MacDonald took seriously enough that he wanted to do something about it, for you see, he had children. MacDonald had an idea. He spent his own time and his own talent to try to find a solution, and he did. He developed a crude prototype and passed the result on to engineers so they could make a commercially viable product that could help concerned parents. Eugene tested the device on his own daughter and believed that he had found a way to help parents. And for this place and time, 1930s, the solution was very high-tech. This device would allow parents the opportunity to have situational awareness. They could know what was happening in their child's nursery without actually being in the room. That's when Japanese-American sculptor Isamu Noguchi was hired in 1937 to craft and create a design that made this product remarkably modern. Noguchi used the canvas of bakelite, an early form of plastic. Maybe you remember it. Some called this a modern marble, and that modern marble they called a nurse. The public wasn't sold on the idea, however, even as they continued to fear for their children. When this solution was released for sale in the U.S., it was ultimately rejected. The cost for this full-time electronic nurse was $20 to $30, depending on the model chosen. But this nurse could also be distractive. Some thought this would prevent it from being reliable. This device was largely ignored for 50 years, but revived in the 1980s by Spanish businessman Fernando Aguado Rafael of Spain. Other businesses embraced an old idea and introduced it as a new idea, but not necessarily because parents feared kidnapping. You see, by the 1990s, parents wanted a better way to make sure their children were being taken care of by caregivers when they couldn't be home. Well, these newer nurse devices allowed information to be shared over greater distances. It wasn't long before parents could actually communicate with their babies with a new generation of this nurse. So today, when you think of smart devices for your home, video doorbells, smart appliances, you might just remember a famous kidnapping and a product designed by a concerned father and a Japanese-American sculptor that would later become the industry of electronic monitoring. You see, this bakelite nurse was the first baby monitor, and it was invented to stop kidnapping, but became something more. It would seem history always provides a backstory.